Okay. You give praise, esteem, and honor to the living Elohim in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. Pick this up in John chapter 5, verse 39. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and there they which testify of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know that you have not the love of Elohim in you. I come in my Abba's name, and you receive me not. If another should come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe with receive honor one from another, and not the honor that comes from Elohim only? Do not think that I will accuse you. The Abba, there's one that accused you, even Moses, in whom you trust. Had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how should you believe my words? Shalom, Brother Reynolds. Shalom, Eve, man. Praise be to Elohim in the name of Yahushua. So we're going to do something, man, with these two witnesses, you dig? Then I got something about the seed planting that I keep hearing people misappropriate and misapply, which is very unfortunate. Revelation chapter 11, verse 1, though. And it was given to me a reed like unto a rod, and the Malachim stood, saying, Rise and measure the temple of Elohim, and the altar, and them that worship therein. But the court which is without the temple leave out and measure it not, for it is given unto the Gentiles, and the Kadash city shall they tread underfoot 42 months. I will give unto my two witnesses, they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth. These are the two olive trees, the two candlesticks, standing before the Elohim of the Iraq. So, of course, y'all know the deal with Kyrie Irving and Kanye West. I don't care about either one of those gentlemen. They're none of a concern to me. Nor am I, and we were just on Zadok Live last night discussing this here. Nor am I concerned with Ron Dalton. You know, Ron Dalton did something that he did, you know what I'm saying, for a particular rhyme, reason, and purpose. Ain't no need to knock the man for that. He put a lot of man hours and time and writing the book and crafting the documentary. More power to him. The issue is this. I had a grown man tell me that you can't know Yahuwah if you don't know you're an Israelite. I'm hearing grown people who supposed to know the word and saying, see, that's planting a seed. Niggas been in the word too long to be this damn stupid. You know what I'm talking about? And too many men are too cowardly and weak to sit back to the side and allow people to purport as if knowing you are Israelite is the crux, rhyme, and reason of the word. It's shameful, it's disgraceful, it's distasteful, and it's an abomination before Elohim. And I don't care who get offended and who unsubscribe. It's really none of my concern. I genuinely don't care. Shalom, Sister Kelly. I do not care. You know what I'm saying? Because this ain't gonna get nobody's soul saved. See, of course, I know that most of our people, they worship celebrities. They want the validation of the nations. I've been telling you that for years. You only want these people to acknowledge you as an Israelite, because then at that point you might believe what the white man lead the book true, and it's got to be true. That's what a lot of these goofies. I'm with you, bro. That's what a lot. Man, literally told me, how else we gonna know you if we don't know we're Israelite? I said, by the word, bro. Man, another brother told me, man, he said, man, most of us ain't start keeping commandments till we knew we was Israelites. I said, at that point, that means you ain't believe the word. Because if it took you knowing you was an Israelite to walk in righteousness, you ain't believe the word. Because if somebody didn't tell you you was an Israelite or brought that information to you, you telling me you wouldn't have followed it. You wouldn't have believed it. See, y'all don't even question them type of things. Man told you abundance of the heart, the mouth speak. They telling you something when they say that. Get them lights up for me though. Well, come over here to Luke chapter 8, man. I ain't gonna waste no more of your time. We're gonna get right into it and make it do what it do and make it move how it moves. And I'm gonna take you through some things all the way to in the law with it too, man. You know what I'm saying? Cause I know some brothers gonna see this here. They're gonna be like, man, it's important to wake up the people. You jackass, knowing you Israelite ain't mean what you woke up to, you dumb bastard. And I'm talking about if you've been in the word over 5 years. I ain't talking about if you've been in it a little while. If you've been over the word 5 years, you're supposed to know better than that. Hell, really after about 2 or 3. Because that don't mean you know God, son. Your forefathers knew they were Israelites and said, let his blood be on our children's children. That's what your forefathers did. And they knew they were nationality. I done heard people say you got to repent back to your nationality. Well, you know how asinine that is? You ain't repenting back to a bloodline. You repenting back to God, boy. And we don't think that's dangerous. That's because we don't believe the word, man. And I ain't the one for you. Because I ain't going to blow smoke up your butthole and tell you it's raining. That's what I ain't going to do. I ain't here to appease you. I ain't here to be your friend. I ain't here for none of that. Because guess what? I don't get a Russian nickel from none of you. I don't need your adulation or validation. I ain't seeking for it. I don't care about no subscriber count. I don't care about no followers. I don't care about none of that. Because, boy, I done told you this before. Boy, I preach to the wall, boy. I'd rather have people who love and want to serve you who and believe this gospel than just a bunch of people joining and relishing in their flesh. I have no desire to have that around me. You know what I'm talking about? And nor do I care to even administer to you mysteries and secrets of Elohim. Since we don't cast our pearls before swine, that's what we ain't going to do. Nor do we cast that which is kadosh on the dogs, because your mind unclean. You ain't going to be able to do that with what we serving anyway. You know what I'm talking about? You just around here copping. You know you can't handle that type of reefer. What? You know that dope too strong for you. You know you like to smoke that pocket brown. Stay around there with that, man. You know what I'm saying? Because this ain't for you. Luke chapter 8, verse 1. And it came to pass afterwards that he went throughout every city and village, preaching and showing the glad tidings of the Malkuth of Elohim and the 12 who with him. That's what Yahusha was going around doing. He was around there telling them about the dominion of the power, the dominion of Elohim. That's why Paul wrote the kingdom of Elohim is with power, because it's the dominion and rule and reign of the power. Your power and our power, the Elohim of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Your power is not in your bloodline. I'm sorry to tell you. You ain't got no power. Abraham didn't have power because he came from Shem. Isaac didn't have power because he came from Abraham. Jacob didn't have power because he came from Isaac. The sons of Yasharal didn't have power because they came from Jacob. They had power because they believed the word. You only got power when you believe the word. If you don't believe the word, you ain't got no power. You just a person running your mouth. And I'm going to tell you just like I said last night, and I'm going to say it again, man. Greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. They speak of the world and the world hears them. He said, we speak of Elohim and the world hear us not. So if people is latching on to what you're talking about, you better assess yourself. We don't speak of the world, man. We speak of the things that Shamahim will everlasting life with. That's what we concerned with. What you concerned with. That's what you got to ask yourself. Verse 2, and certain women which had been healed of evil ruachs and infirmities, Mary, called Magdalene, out of whom went seven devils, Joanna, the son of the wife of Cusa, Herod steward, Susanna, and many others which ministered unto him of their substance. And when much people were gathered together and were come to him out of every city, he spake by a parable. A sower went out to sow his seed. A sower went out, because we talking about brothers saying they plant the seed. So he said a sower went out to plant his seed. And as he sowed, some fell by the wayside, and it was trodden down, and the fowls of the air devoured it. Some fell upon a rock, and as soon as it was sprung up, it withered away because it lacked moisture. Some fell among thorns, and the thorns sprang up with it and choked it. Other fell on good ground and sprang up and bare fruit 100-fold. And when he said these things, he cried, he that have ears to hear, let him hear. The disciples asked him, saying, what might this parable? And he said, unto you it is given to know the mysteries of the Malkuth of Elohim, but others in parables, that seeing they might not see, and hearing they might not understand. Now this is the parable. The seed is the word of Elohim. You knowing you an Israelite is not the word of Elohim. And if you go in the book, you're going to have to prove that out the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses. Now everybody in here knows that knowing an Israelite is not the word of God. Every last one of us in here know that. You know it. You go to some verses and try to make yourself feel like that's what it's saying to justify yourself. We around here getting happy because a man shared a link to a movie that a brother who you know is in the way produced. This man said he an omnist. And if you don't know what an omnist is, that's a man who believes in all religions. But you know what we'll turn around and say? God will use anybody. Why would you who will use a sinner to say that? A man who don't even believe in him. You really think you are going to use somebody who don't believe in him to bring people to him? You got to be dumb as a box of rocks. Then you know the word part, brother keep telling me, man, he used the donkey. That's how I know you don't know the word. He ain't used no donkey to spread no word, boy. He used that donkey to rebuke the madness of the prophet. who went outside the will of Elohim. The donkey was to rebuke this man to let him know he was going to die, not to spread no word. Man, it's shameful. And you talk about Christians, and you want to say Christians is this and Christians and that, and you behave the same way. You can't even see the hypocrisy. Man, I tell y'all this all the time, and I'm going to tell you this again before I move on. This is not a game. Your life is on the line. You are going to stand before this man on that last day, and the book's going to be open. And you better make sure you got a wedding garment on. Because if you ain't got a wedding garment on, that means you ain't been called to the feast. That means you came unprepared. Now, I'm going to tell y'all like I told them brothers and sisters last night. You know what I'm talking about? That's right. Amen. He just said it's not the gospel. It's not the good news. It ain't got nothing to do with making one to see the Abraham. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. It ain't going to bring you to Mashiach, and it can't make you a son of God. Can't do it. And I don't give a damn how much pride are you thought, well, now I'm doing it. It don't matter what you're doing it in vain. If you're not doing it according to the due order, you're doing it for nothing. So what? That's how you came to the word. If you stay in a way that's not correct, you still gonna go to hell. Remember, but let me move past that. I'm gonna tell y'all like I told them brother last night. If you haven't experienced the goodness of Yahuwah, if you haven't made fellowship with his presence, I urge you, I vehemently beg you, do everything in your power to make that possible if the Lord allows. Because once you come in contact with this man, I promise to you, you're not going back. There's nothing like it. It's indescribable. You can't put words together to even describe it. The level of anxiety that you would feel at even the thought of his separation is nothing that you want to experience. You've seen that in the text with Saul. Saul lost his mind when he realized Yahuwah wasn't with him no more. But that's because he had came into his presence. He had felt his esteem. He felt his power. He felt his goodness. It's nothing like it. You want to experience that. What we talking about out here, man, that ain't bringing nobody to experience that, man. That's why people not holding on to the word, man. That's why they're not holding on, man. Because you're not giving them the information to where they can become one with Elohim and experience him. Yada is the word that I'm referring to so that you can experience him. Have you tasted that the Lord is good and that he's gracious like Peter told you? Have you tasted that? Most of our people ain't tasted that. You wonder why some of the things that pertain to this man kingdom and all the other things we discussed, you wonder why we able to do that? That means clearly we believe the word. Somebody around here got to believe it. Shalom, man. Or else, why would he give insight into these mysteries so that we can have understanding that we could be saved, that if he see fit, we could be there? The man ain't going to give you insight to something that you don't have an opportunity to receive, man. He's not doing that. And I say that when you be like, well, a lot of brothers ain't talking about this and they ain't talking about that. It don't mean that we any better than them. That means there's somebody around there that don't believe. And when you don't believe, he's not going to give you the insight into the things that pertain to everlasting life. He's just not going to do it. So knowing that we getting the insight into the things that are preserved for those whose names are written in heaven, why are you not laboring with every bit of your soul to be able to come in fellowship with him so you can experience him? So you know what it's like to be in his presence. If the whole time you've been in the word, have you felt his presence? Do you even know what that means? Do you even understand that? Because if you haven't done that in the time that you've been in the word, that means you've been wasting time for whatever reason. And I ain't knocking you. I'm just telling you the truth. Because somebody need to tell it to you. You know what I'm talking about? Because these people out here ain't telling us nothing. We around here getting excited because a nigga who is a admitted hermeticist. Matter of fact, we getting excited listening to a nigga who said blacks are Jews, who is an adulterer. Kim Kardashian has been married a multitude of times. That's not his wife. And even if we wanted to take that you could divorce and remarry, say we held that position. This man was gallivanting along while she was still married to another man, by how he was having sex with this man's wife. But you don't see, this is the thing, that's how I know we evil. You know what I'm talking about? Because we don't care who we get the word from. We won't even hold nobody to no standard. We don't even care if to people hold to the standard of the word. We don't even care about that. We don't even care about that. As long as they tell us what's gratifying and pleasing to our flesh, we good. That means we evil as hell. That means we don't desire righteousness, nor do we desire to separate the Kadash from the profane. We don't got no desire for that. Because all it shows is where you put your energy at and what you esteem. We esteem things that don't be a God. Man, you know, how the hell we got people in the word talking about Yahuwah use anybody? You ought to slap yourself in the face for being a jackass. Because where you ever seen in this book, this man just using anybody? This man is very deliberate on whom he selects to manifest his word. Don't you know, you silly man, whoever he's saying is a representation of him? But you don't care nothing about that. You want his representation to be sinners and unbelievers because it'll make you feel better about your own sin and unbelief. That's why you don't care. That's why you want it to be that way. That's why you come up with those excuses to justify that. It ain't sliding over here, man. I know my God, and he don't stamp that. Where you ever seen him do that? Where you ever seen him send a flock of sinners to represent him and speak on his behalf? You ain't got none. We're going to see that when we get into these two witnesses. Let you will be esteemed. It's really going to press me to what either the other thing I want to get on this week, if you who allow, I'm really ready to do that now. But if we have to pause on that to do the mystery of iniquity again, I promise to you that's what we're going to do. Because I see it's a lot of people caught up with the mystery of iniquity bad. You know what I'm saying? It's been working, but I see we getting work like wrestling fans. You know what I'm talking about? See, that's what they call in wrestling, a work. That's when something look like it's real, but it ain't real. But see, then they got something else. It's called a work shoot. A work shoot is when they take fiction and meld it with reality. So they take a real life situation and then they just put it on TV and kind of make it fictional. That's what the devil gonna do. Now, it ain't even better to say that you could. It ain't even good to say the Lord can use anyone, because He's only gonna use those that are faithful to Him. As Paul put it, a steward must be found faithful. So He can use anyone who is faithful to Him, but He ain't using anyone. You know what I'm saying? Because when we say He can use anyone, that means we're gonna say He can use an atheist. You know, basically, we can't say He'll use anyone because that means He can use a sinner, and Yahuwah ain't using those sinners. Yahuwah can't dwell in an unclean vessel. That's why Mary had to be a virgin. Y'all remember when we talked about that numerous times? That's why Mary had to be a virgin, because his seed, he can't go in her if a man done ejaculated, and her womb would have been unclean. Yahuwah can't dwell in an unclean vessel in no shape, form, or fashion. He can't do it. That's why the minute Saul got out of pocket, what happened, boo? What, you know, so you remember, right? Paul, it said that Saul received a ruach, right? And God changed his heart and he became another man. And the minute he disobeyed, what happened? He departed from him. He left him. The minute that man's vessel became unclean, he left. He can't dwell in an unclean place. That's not how Yahuwah operates. That's why you get taught on why you can't sin, so you can receive the Spirit, so He can dwell. Have y'all forgotten what Paul told you? Let me show you what Paul told you. I'm gonna come back to Luke 8. I got a lot of things on my brain. That's just sad because people's lives on the line. You understand? 2 Timothy chapter 2, man, verse 14. People's lives is on the line. This ain't something about to poke at Kyrie or Kanye, because we don't care about them. They are of the world. We are Elohim. You got people talking about, well, y'all just jealous that they bringing out what we've been preaching for years. Why would I be jealous of a sinner when the book tells me not to envy sinners? This man ain't got Ruach Elohim. So as far as it goes in heaven, I'm greater than him. So I ain't looking at no sinner and be like, you know what? I'm envious of this sinner. I'm mad this sinner could never preach what we preach around this corner, man. What these people talking about is bringing nobody to Yahuwah. Ain't nobody's soul gonna be saved off of that. You can't do nothing with that information to enter into this man's gate. Man, we talking about life here, man. We ain't talking about this stuff these dudes out here on, man. We talking about life. Man, I wouldn't give a damn if I was an Israelite or not. Boy, it was the word that moved me, man. The word. Wasn't no OE Israelite kidding about that. I heard that when I was 21. I had books on that when I was 22. Care nothing about that. It was the word. The word touched my soul, man. That's all I needed. I didn't need no. If that just okay. That's a bonus point, I guess. If you want to put it as anything, it was the word. It wasn't no nationality. I wasn't moved by that. I didn't rejoice in that. I didn't revel in that. I didn't go home feeling like, yeah, I'm an Israelite. I went home feeling like, man, I got to change my life or I'm going to hell. This word is true. I got to save my soul. That's what I went home with. I ain't care nothing about that. 2 Timothy 2 and 14. Of these things put in remembrance, charging before the Lord, that they strive not about words to no profit to the subverting of the hearers. Study to show yourself approved unto Elohim, a workman that need not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. Remember, he's talking to a teacher. That is, this verse 15 is not for every man. You're not paying babblings, for they will increase unto more unfaithfulness. And their word will eat as doth the canker, whom is Hymenaeus and Phileus, who concerning the truth have erred, saying that the resurrection is past already, and overthrow the faith of some. Nevertheless, the foundation of Elohim stands sure, having this seal, the Lord knows them that are his, and let everyone that name the name of Hamashiach depart from iniquity. But in a great house there are not only vessels of gold and of silver, but also of wood and of earth, some to honor, some to dishonor. If a man therefore purge himself from these, he shall be a vessel unto honor, sanctified, meet for the master's use, prepared unto every good work. See, you're going to have to purge yourself in order for this man to use you. Remember, he's talking to a teacher. Listen to what he's about to tell him. Flee also youthful lusts. So the things that you look, and we talked about that before, you can see that, and the time we did it, it's been some years, we were looking at as it pertained to what happened in the wilderness and the lust that Yasharal had in his youth, in his infancy, about the things that they had in Egypt. You know what I'm talking about? But follow righteousness, faith, charity, shalom with them that call on the Lord out of a pure heart. But foolish and unlearned questions avoid, knowing that they do gender strifes. The servant of the Lord must not strive, but be gentle unto all, skilled to teach, because that's what apt means. It means skilled. Patient. You notice what he say, a servant of the Lord. Again, he's talking to a teacher. So the conversation that he had is pertaining to people who teach the word. If you don't teach the word, this conversation don't pertain to you and what he is saying. In meekness, instructing those that oppose themselves, if Elohim peradventure will give them repentance to the acknowledging of the truth. And see, this is the thing, right? Brothers say, oh, I'm in the truth because they know they're an Israelite. That is a gross mischaracterization of the definition of the word truth. You know that there's a mah, and a muna. It's the reliability, the fidelity, the faithfulness, the steadfastness of Elohim. So you want to acknowledge the faithfulness of Yahuwah. See, when Abraham believed in Yahuwah, that's why Yahuwah was able to count it to him for righteousness, because he counted Yahuwah as faithful. When he said, in Isaac your seed gonna be called, he knew Yahuwah was faithful. That's why Yahushua described himself as the faithful and true witness. So you don't know the truth until you know how faithful Yahuwah is. If you don't know how faithful Yahuwah is, you ain't in nothing. Let that be known. And they may recover themselves out of the snare of the devil, who are taken captive by him at his will. So understand that when you preach the gospel, you're preaching the word so people can stop opposing themselves, turn from sin, acknowledge that Elohim is faithful, so that they can be taken out of captivity. But we don't want to talk about that. Come on back to Luke 8, man. Let me get this thing about the seed, man, so y'all can understand that, man. Because it's only relevant and prevalent because of what we're going to be discussing with the two witnesses. I'm in Luke 8. I'm in verse 10. And he said, unto you it is given to know the mysteries of the Malkuth of Elohim, but to others in parables, that seeing that they might not see, and hearing that they might not understand. Now this is the parable is the devil ain't taking out your heart whether you believe you're an Israelite or not. He taken out of your heart. Remember, he said the mysteries of the kingdom of Elohim. Ain't that what it said? So if it said the mysteries of the kingdom of Elohim, that means these things pertain. Hold on, let me just do this. Isaiah 52 and 7. Because if you're going to do it, you got to do it right. We talked about this the other day when we were talking about Moses coming to the people. And we read Romans chapter 10 that Paul was referencing when he spoke about this verse. Because how can you call on him whom you have not heard? Well, how can you believe on him whom you have not heard? You know what I'm saying? How you going to be able to do that? You can't do that. Isaiah 52:7, man. I'll get around there eventually. How beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of him that bring glad tidings, that publish shalom, that bring good tidings of good, that publish salvation, that say this unto Zion, Elohim is Malik, Elohim has rule, has dominion. Let's come on back to Luke chapter 8. Eight and 13. They on the rock, which when they hear receive the word with joy. These have no root, for while they believe in the time of temptation, they fall away. So we done already talked about that. You got to bear root downward to bear fruit upward. You got a lot of people, they ain't built their house on the rock. They ain't done that. So because they ain't done that, when it's time for their soul to be tried, you know what I'm talking about? When persecution or tribulation, like it said in Matthew, arise because of the word, by and by they are offended. Oh, like it was in Matthew with that first place where that seed, where that word dropped. You say the devil sown what was already sown in their heart. They already didn't believe the word. So they wasn't trying to hear it. Verse 14, they which fall among the thorns are they, when they have heard, go forth and choke with the cares and riches and pleasures of life and bring no fruit to perfection. So then you got people, they hear the word, but you too caught up with your lust. You too caught up with your desires and your will and your own wants and your own way that you'll never perfect. And we, of course, we don't talk about fruit to perfection. See, we talk about the fruits of the spirit, but the fruits got to come from the what? Where the fruits got to come from, boo? Where you get fruit from? Well, where you get the tree from? So who? No, you're missing one element. Work with me now. Where you get the fruit from? No, literal fruit, natural fruit. Well, what you got to put in the ground? The seed. So you can't get the fruits without the word. Come over here to John chapter 12. You can't get the fruits without the word. So you can't talk about you got the fruits of the spirit and you ain't got no seed in good ground. You ain't gonna be able to do it. Because without that seed in a good heart, then guess what? Ain't no faith, ain't no joy, ain't no peace, ain't no long suffering, ain't no gentleness, ain't no goodness, ain't no meek joy, ain't no peace, ain't no long suffering, ain't no gentleness, ain't no goodness, ain't no meekness, ain't no self-control. You just a nigga who faking it till you make it. You know, that's what we got a lot of brothers out here do. You fake it. Because if you have the fruits of the spirit, that means the seed is in you. That means the word is in you. And that means the word has done its work and is manifested and you have the ruach. You can't fake the ruach. And we got a lot of brothers out here faking it till they make it. And you know why they faking it till they make it? The man who teaching them faking it till they make it. So guess the people following them ain't got no choice but to do the same. There's too many pussy niggas out here faking. And we cool with it. And we cool with it. If you know niggas out here faking it and you hanging with them, guess what they say about you? Because I ain't finna be around no faking flawed individual. I ain't finna do it. And you know why I ain't finna do it? Because I'm 100 with myself. So because I'm 100 with myself, you going to get your coward behind on because you going to feel uncomfortable because you know you flaw and you phony. You got too many cowards and busters walking around here like they solid and dudes know they flaw. Why you sitting around men who dishonoring themselves on a regular basis and you ain't checking that? Why you got men walking around you and you know they're not comporting themselves under godliness and manhood and you ain't saying nothing to them? Man, John don't make no sense. John 12 and 23, but you quick to tell them how they Israelite though. But you co-signing folly and weakness and dishonor. Man, I told her brother this last night. I done told y'all this for years, man. It was easy for me to concern you when I seen what kind of man he is. It's a man of honor, a man of respect, a man of values, a man of righteousness. You know what I'm saying? I'm good. I'm cool with that. I can rock with that. Because that's what I was taught to be. That's what I see. That's what I was told to be. Man, if Fat Boy was here right now, man, he'll tell you, man, we had a code of etiquette. That's what we were told. You're supposed to live by a code of etiquette, man. You're supposed to be a way you conduct yourself as a man. It's just certain things you ain't supposed to do. I came in the word, I seen the same thing. I said, I know you who are real, boy. Because this manhood, man. You know what I'm saying? But we ain't look at it as manhood in that aspect. When we were young, we looked at it on, that was just being a real one. We just looked at it as this how you supposed to live. This how you supposed to conduct yourself. We knew it was manhood. We just didn't use that to describe it. Like this how you supposed to behave, man. Man, John 12:23. Yahushua answered them, saying, the hour has come that the son of Adam should be esteemed. Truly, truly, I say unto you, except the corn of wheat fall into the ground, die. And die, it abide alone. But if it die, it bring forth much fruit. You're going to have to die. That seed going to have to fall in the ground and die in order for that doggone fruit to come out. That's the only way. That's the only way. Man, let you who will be esteemed, man. They don't hear it, though. Luke 8:15. But that on the good ground are they which in an honest and good heart. Notice he said in an honest and good heart. Having heard the word, keep and bring forth fruit with patience. So they bring forth fruit with patience because they got faith. You know what I'm talking about? Because it takes patience to till. Come over here to 1 Corinthians chapter 3, man. Yeah, man. I thank the Lord. 1 Corinthians 3:1. So I ain't on that jump, man. I ain't on with everybody else on. Like I say, man, number one, it ain't no competition. So let you who would be esteemed every single solitary apostle, prophet, pastor, and evangelist and teacher that he got in the four corners of the earth, manifesting the word, his gospel through the preaching of Yahushua HaMashiach. Let them be strengthened to continue laboring in the vineyard as you would see fit. Let you who always see fit in his mercies to send laborers into the harvest, because the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. That his righteousness in God's name might be esteemed from one end of the earth to the other. You know what I'm talking about? Let every single solitary person who gather and assemble in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach be strengthened in the goodness of his might and receive his Ruach HaKadosh to his esteem. You know what I'm talking about? That's what we about around here, man. I ain't about that other stuff, man. I'm not with it because this ain't no competition. This ain't no popularity contest. I ain't asking y'all for no money. I ain't trying to get your esteem. I don't need nothing from you. I only ask one thing. I believe the gospel and be saved. That's all I ask. That's all I can ask from you. You know what I'm talking about? But that's on you if that's what you want to do. 1 Corinthians 3:1. Listen to what he said. And I, brethren, could not speak unto you as unto spiritual, but as unto carnal, as unto babes in the Mashiach. I have fed you with milk and not with meat, for hereto you were not able, neither yet now are you able. For while one say, I am of Paul, and another, I am of Apollos, are you not carnal? See, you know what? For the old goofy niggas who all be running their mouth, you ain't never heard me tell damn brother to say they are me, or they are this or this. Every brother around here know they gonna say, I'm a Elohim, I'm a Yahuwah, I'm a Yahusha, I'm a Mashiach. Because guess what? Your faith and hope might be in your Elohim, that you set your hope and trust in him. He ain't never taught you to be no carnal man, talking about you or such and such. We don't play them type of games. Man, the name of this congregation is just a name that was given because the police asked what church we were when we were putting in work on Day of Atonement. That's it. You know what I'm saying? We can name it the Assembly, and that's all that matters. Because you're not of me. I ain't die for you. You know what I'm talking about? I ain't resurrect from the dead for you. I ain't in no covenant with you. I ain't do nothing for you in regards for you to say you were me. So that's foolish. But you know, it's cowards and busters and bussies that always run their mouth who want to say the type of thing, because that's what type of man you are. That's why I be telling y'all, pay attention when people talk. Did this man tell you abundance of the heart, the mouth speak? People be telling you what type of time they're on, but you don't listen. I just had to tell somebody, I was telling Misha this the other day. Because I got people who always say this to me. You can't know people hard. You can't. Yes, you can. If this man told you about a fruit, you gonna know them, and the abundance of the heart, the mouth speak. How you don't know what type of time people on? You got to be a damn fool. You got to be as simple as my baby to not understand that. You got to be. What's happening, man? You got to be. Go ahead, bro. Oh, they good, man. You know, this is just a simulcast of service, so they ain't going. It ain't like a regular club because we on YouTube at the same time.
Okay. I was just curious to know what was your overall message that we were supposed to receive?
Oh, we going through a particular matter. We dealing with the two witnesses. We're working right now on what the seed is and what that means to plant a seed. Some individuals believe planting a seed is telling people that we Israelites. So we're determining from the text what planting that seed is and what is supposed to be brought forth once it's planted. So that's
Does the text not make it plain?
It does, but you have some people who don't have that understanding or try to say that knowing you an Israelite is planting a seed, as if that's the word of Elohim and that's the word that he wants people to know.
So they have a different interpretation of it.
No, they don't have a different interpretation. They're interpreting the text according to their own understanding for their own desires. Because it's only one interpretation of the text, and it's Yahuwah's understanding. It's not nobody has their own understanding. Nobody has their own interpretation. What that would be called, and how Peter put it, is a private interpretation. Because as it says in Isaiah 40, there's no seeking of Yahuwah's understanding. People aren't seeking his understanding because it's only one understanding. Because it's only one heart, one way, one faith, one immersion, one Elohim through all and in you all. It's only one way. You know what I'm saying? It's not a multitude of ways. Because we know one thing for certain and two things for sure. You can't lead people in a multitude of ways that leads to confusion and disorder. Can't have two leaders, can't have multiple ways. One way to get there. And you're either gonna walk in that narrow and straight gate or you're not. You know what I'm saying? And we are the mind of we're gonna focus on the people who walking in it. Because we discussed this last night also. I'm not worried what people outside the house are doing. I'm worried about what people inside the house are doing. One thing of what a lot of Israelites is, you worried about the sins of people outside the house and not the sins of the people inside the house. I ain't got nothing to do with people outside the house. People outside the house gonna do what people outside the house do. But we inside the house. And it's a lot of things we ain't supposed to be doing. You supposed to, you know what I'm talking about? You know, as Goody Mob put it in the record, man, that's disrespect, like not wiping your feet on the rug before you come in my house. How you think you're gonna come in the house of Elohim and you ain't wiped your sins off at the front door before you walked in? But look at 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 5. Who then is Paul? Who Apollos, but ministers by whom you believed, even as the Lord gave every man. I have planted, Apollos watered, but Elohim give the increase. So neither he that plant anything, neither he that water, but Elohim give the increase. But what did he came, right? What are you planting? Remember, right? We're talking about the sower who sowed the seed, right? So you're planting a seed. And what is the seed? It's the kingdom of Elohim. That's why we read Isaiah 52 and 7, because it says to declare unto Zion, your Elohim reigns, or your Elohim is Malik, or your Elohim has dominion. So the seed is supposed to magnify that Yahuwah has dominion and rule. And because he has dominion and rule, this is what is supposed to be developing in a man's heart. We're doing this because this is about the two witnesses. This is not just for nothing. It's a prelude before we talk about the two witnesses. Brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, do y'all recall whose power and spirit that the two witnesses will be coming in? You could place that in the chat. Or if you're on Clubhouse, you put it in the chat or you can raise your hand. Do you remember whose power and spirit that the two witnesses are coming in? I got a little bit of time. There it is. Sean just told you. Let me see what you got going on YouTube with it, though. Who can tell me on YouTube, though? We got time. You know, I got till 9 o'clock, and I was right on time today, too. I wasn't even a minute late, 5 minutes late, 10 minutes late, none of that. I've been waiting to do this since Sunday. Shoot, since we finished on Saturday. I ain't going to lie to you. You know what I'm saying? And if we didn't already have regular scheduled stuff, I would have went live Monday and Tuesday on General Principle. I said, but that ain't going to be right because you're going to miss it. Come on, YouTube. Who spirit and power of the two witnesses coming in? I know somebody got to know.
God's spirit and power.
Oh, no, not the two witnesses. We talking about what's in Revelation 11. So They're coming, and it's kind of it's along the lines of the spirit and power that John the Baptist came in, and we had kind of went over that on. We actually went over this on Saturday, so yeah, there's that. Well, YouTube ain't coming through. They ain't cooperating with me this afternoon. We got to keep rolling. So he just told you, right? It's Moses and Elijah, right? And what do Moses and Elijah have in common with the testimonies that they did in their time? They both spake of the dominion and rule of Yahuwah. Would it be safe for us to make that that statement that Elijah proclaimed the dominion and rule of Elohim during his time? We know Moses did. That goes without saying. If we don't know that's what Moses did, we wasn't paying attention. You know what I'm talking about? So when we're looking at, right, you're talking about planting a seed, because that planted a seed is, remember, the seed is the word of Elohim. Yahushua went about preaching the kingdom of God. That's what we started at in Luke 8. And then he began to break down the parable of the sower. And it says, when you preach the gospel, the good tidings, you declare unto Zion that your Elohim has dominion. So every time an individual preaches the gospel, the number one thing that should be conveyed is that Elohim of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob has dominion, rule, and power. You know what I'm saying? Again, this is why this says here, come over here to 1 Corinthians. Is it 1 Corinthians? I think it's Romans 14. It's Romans 14 that I want. No. And there it is. Boom. Well, that's one of them. It's in the other one's in 1 Corinthians, but my page. So I got to go on the app for that. But Romans 14, verse 17. Romans 14, verse 17. Let me get the other passage in Corinthians pulled up. Have it already ready. Joanne, what you over there talking about, Joanne? You over there being a baby. And you can get your 1 Corinthians chapter 4. Verse 14. 1 Corinthians 4. Romans chapter 14, verse 17. For the Malkuth of Elohim is not in meat and drink, but righteousness, shalom, and joy in the Ruach HaKodesh. Why is that important? Three of those elements are fruits of the Spirit. Righteousness, which equals faith, shalom and joy, which is outright state. So these are the elements. Shalom, bro. These are the elements of what is needed to enter into the kingdom of Elohim. You have to have these things. And it tells you that the dominion of Elohim, that is what it is in. For he that in these things serve a Mashiach, acceptable to Elohim and approved of men. You'll be accepted by Elohim if you have the righteousness, peace, and joy in the Ruach of Elohim. You'll be accepted. 1 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 14. Y'all forget. 1 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 14. For though you have 10,000 instructors in the Mashiach, yet have not many fathers, for in Mashiach Yahushua I have birthed you through the Basar. Wherefore I beseech you, be you followers of me. For this cause have I sent unto you Timotheus, who is my beloved son, faithful in the Lord, who shall bring you into remembrance of my ways, who see in Hamashiach, as I teach everywhere in every assembly. But now some are puffed up as though I would not come to you. But I will come to you shortly if the Lord will, and will know, not the speech of them which are puffed up, but the power. For the Malkuth of Elohim, not in word, but in power. The dominion of Elohim come in power, man. That's what it come in. See, the word got to have power, man. When you telling somebody they're an Israelite, ain't no power in that. There's no power in that. Because the power is in the belief in the word. Ain't no power in that. So it don't make you feel good. I know it's a coward nigga right now talking about he coon and he hate his people. Your mammy hates your people, nigga. She hated the people because she birthed you. You know what I'm talking about? and she birthed a man who don't understand what it means to have power, because you think power rests in things that are not even worthy enough to be discussed. Do you see people running around here talking about I got power because I know who I am? You need power because you know God, boy. We're supposed to have been transcended that. I know some people like that. That's very disrespectful. But guess what? Some of your prophets were very disrespectful. You know what I'm talking about? Not to say that I'm a prophet. I'm just telling you. There's some people in this book that were very disrespectful. But that's because the people are disrespecting your God. See, you more concerned about being cool with people who disrespecting your God. I ain't cool with nobody disrespecting my Father. Why would I be? Man, and I'm saying this stuff, and I be this rude and this crass at a particular time to understand what you're gonna do when you're gonna have to stand for this with your life. What you gonna do then? I done told you before, I'm not pro-black and I'm not pro-Israelite. I'm pro-Yahuwah. And I don't care who don't like that. I'm pro-Yahuwah. I'm not pro-black. I'm not pro-Israelite. I'm pro-Yahuwah. So to be pro-Yahuwah, I mean anything that's against Yahuwah, I'm gonna be against. I ain't rolling with nobody that's against him. I'm not sticking with the crowd just to be down with the crowd. I ain't never been that type of dude, and I praise Yahuwah for that. I ain't never been no type of dude got to be down with the crew. I'm not going along to get along, man. I'll stand alone, man. I'm a man, bro. My mama had a daughter, man. My daddy had one too. My mama had one, my daddy had five, man. I'm a man, bro. I'm not a daughter, man. I'm not a woman. I'm not going along. I'm not following the group. I ain't doing it. You know what I'm talking about? I don't care what you got to say about me because I don't give a damn about your opinion to begin with. I don't know what you think about me anyway. I care what you who think about me. I care what I think about myself. Can you wait every day you get up and you brush your teeth prayerfully and you wash your face? When you look in the mirror, you feel good about what you see? And when I say when you look in the mirror, because I know when you look in the mirror, you look in your eyes. You feel good about what you see when you look in your eyes, man? It's a man looking back at you when you look in that mirror, man. It's a son of Elohim looking back at you when you look in that mirror, man. That's what you got to ask yourself. Is there an honorable man looking back in the mirror when you look in it, man? Is there a righteous man looking back in the mirror, man? Is it a Kadash man looking back in that mirror, man? If you was to leave this earth right now, your last breath emanated out of your chest, with your soul rest comfortably, that you would be in Elohim. Will you be in Abraham's bosom, man? This is stuff we need to be talking about, man. We on some other stuff, man. That junk ain't hitting on nothing. Okay, y'all. I finished the First Corinthians. I finished the Luke. Let me make sure I ain't got nothing that I had in my brain that I wanted to read. Oh, yeah. I got to do it from the beginning. Let Yahuwah be esteemed. Come on around here to Genesis chapter 2. Let me show it to you from the beginning. We done did it before. Let me show it to you from the beginning, man. Genesis 2 and 4. Genesis 2 and 4, man. Don't mind the baby, man. She happy. She always happy. It don't even take much for her to be happy. I got some other stuff. It'll drag this out for too long. It's a drag this out. I just want to remind y'all. When we finish with these two witnesses, we going in to the duplication or recreation of heaven and earth, or the new heaven and earth, and how that was foretold with the creation of the first heaven and earth, and those generations and everything that pertain to that, if you will permit. So, y'all willing, that's what's coming right behind those two witnesses. I know we kind of briefly mentioned it on Shabbat, you know what I'm saying? But it's already ringing in my mind. After these two witnesses, man, that's what's coming up. And then if you will permit, we probably going to do the mystery of iniquity right behind that. You know what I'm saying? And redo that. It's been a couple of years, not even a couple of years. It's probably been about 4 to 5 years since we did the mystery of iniquity. So that means for those who didn't hear it, you know what I'm talking about, can't find it in the archives because stuff ain't put in the playlist back then like it is now. You know what I'm saying? We'll redo it. It's not going to be the same, who are willing, as it was the first time, but the theme will be the same. Verse 5, and every plant of the field before it was in the earth, and every herb of the field before it grew, for Yahuwah Elohim had not caused it to rain upon the arras, no man to till the ground. It went up from the midst of the earth and watered the whole face of the ground. Yahuwah Elohim formed man of the dust of the ground, breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. And Yahuwah Elohim planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there put the man whom he had formed. And what we're looking at is because we know that Adam was made by the word, so he was made by that seed. And that seed was in the ground and he abided alone, but he died and he brought forth much fruit. And it was something else too that came into my mind too, man. But I don't even know if we're going to be able to work that in. Because, you know, we talked about this before. Who can tell me what Eve's name means? Who can tell me what Eve's name means in the text? Then you brothers can raise your hand on Clubhouse if you want to answer that audibly. And of course, you know, YouTube, you can type it. And Clubhouse, you can type it also. Boop, you remember what Eve's name means? Mother of all living. Why is Eve named Mother of all living? Shalom, Brother Alex. Go ahead, Hashem. That's right, Civic. I see you. I see you, Sister Kelly. Shalom, bro.
I don't have an answer for that, and I was going to say the mother of all living. I wanted to get up on stage also. I don't have no answer to that question you asked.
Oh, you good, bro. You straight. You straight. You know what I'm saying? Nisha and Easton slid that in there too. Now, why is that important with the mother of all living? Indeed, but then we're gonna go past that because what it was, man, I was in ABT room, man. I think they were talking about the ruach, you know what I'm saying? How the ruach is a feminine word, you know what I'm saying, and stuff like that. That's neither here nor there. But you know, we discussed this before, and I was gonna get on their stage and mention it, but then I didn't care enough to wade through the other stuff they had going on to be even sit there long enough to be able to do it. The Ruach HaKadosh, what does the Ruach HaKadosh do? Well, the Ruach HaKadosh is the fruit of the what? Of the seed. And that, of course, coming out of the womb, because remember Isaiah 66 says, shall I shut the womb? The Ruach HaKadosh is symbolic of Eve, because the Ruach, though the Ruach is not a mother, you know what I'm talking about? It is that which produced all that lives. You know what I'm talking about? And then, of course, Jerusalem being the mother of us all. You know what I'm talking about? And things that pertain to that. So, God willing, when we get to the things of the creating of the new heaven and new earth by word and the fulfilling of the creation in the second time, as was in the first, you'll get that in there. You know what I'm saying? And why it came to my mind is this here, is we can banty about many things. But the things that actually would strengthen somebody's faith and give them an understanding on why they're doing what they're doing, we don't have them conversations. And when we do have them, people try to minimize them by saying somebody trying to flex with what they know or spiritualize things and not understanding. All we want to do is bring to light the goodness, the greatness, and the righteousness of the salvation of the Elohim of our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Yasharal. His name is Yahuwah of hosts. His name shall be esteemed forever. That's all we care about. We don't care about nothing else. It's going to bring esteem to Yahuwah. That's what we focus on. Now, what other people focus on, I can't speak on that. But I'm going to speak on what we focus on, because that's where our focus is at. So that you can get a better understanding of the salvation of God. That's all. So that you can labor and make your election sure. Let Yahuwah be esteemed. Let's get to what we're here for. Come on back to Revelation 11, man. Let's get that started. I'll let this here, boo. Which one you want to do first, Moses or Elijah? Revelation 11 and 3 one more time. Before we really delve into Moses and Elijah tip, we also going to look at the two places where the two witnesses are bearing witness of. Let me ask you brothers this. Why two witnesses? Why two witnesses in Revelation 11? Why two? Jedi, that thing tripping over there on your side, man. Because it's telling me that it's unstable. I don't know what it's looking like on your side. It just clicked back on and got wrecked. Because Comcast has pissed me off.
Every matter got to be confirmed by two or more witnesses.
That's right. There you go. Every matter got to be confirmed by 2 or 3. That's right. Yeah, I see you, Darius and Drew. Yeah, I figured that. That's why, bro. Because it was showing me an unstable connection on this side, and I've been checking it on my side. The unstable connection part don't went off. That's why I say Comcast pissing me off because this junk doing that junk too often. Revelation 11:3. And I will give unto my two witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days clothed in sackcloth. These are the two olive trees, the two candlesticks standing before the Elohim of the Arats. Come over here to Zechariah chapter 4 if you would, everybody. Zechariah chapter 4. Look at that, son. Don't pay me no money. What you referring to, Drake? Shoot, because I don't know what it'll be easier if you just ask what you're asking right there, then I can hear it. That's horrible. I was looking at something else. Oh, my bad. Yes, sir. Okay, tenfold. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm in the wrong chapter all around the board. I'm sorry, y'all. Zechariah 4:1. And the Malachim that talked with me came again and walked with me. That is awakened as a man awakened out of his sleep. He said to me, "What see you?" And I said, "I have looked and behold a candlestick, all gold, with a bowl on the top of it, 7 lamps thereon, and 7 pipes to the 7 lamps, which are upon the top thereof." So y'all know what these seven, both you know what these 7 candlesticks are at, with the bowl and the 7 lamps. All right, here in Zechariah chapter 4. Yeah, well, that's what he's seeing. Where would they be found located at? That's right, in the temple, in the house of Elohim. The reason why I said that, when I asked that, because he said these are the two candlesticks standing before the Elohim of the Arats. So I want you to know that these two men stand where? At the throne. Let's continue. Verse 3. And 2 olive trees by it, one upon the right of the bowl, and the other upon the left thereof. So I answered and spake to the Malachim that talked with me, saying, what these, my Lord? Then the Malachim that talked with me answered and said unto me, know you not what these be? And I said, no, my Lord. Then he answered and spake unto me, saying, this the word of Yahuwah unto Zerubbabel, saying, not by might, nor by power, but by my Ruach, saith Yahuwah of hosts. Who you, O great mountain, before Zerubbabel, a plain, he shall bring forth the headstone, shoutings, mercy, mercy unto it. Moreover, the word of Yahuwah came unto me, saying, the hands of Zerubbabel have laid the foundation of the house, this house. His hands shall also finish it, and you shall know that Yahuwah of hosts has sent me unto you. For he hath despised the day of small things, for they shall rejoice and shall see the plummet in the hand of Zerubbabel, those 7, the eyes of Yahuwah, which run to and fro through the whole earth. Then answered I and said unto him, what these 2 olive trees upon the right of the candlestick and upon the left thereof? And I answered again, and he said unto me, what? 2 olive branches through the 2 golden pipes empty the golden out of themselves. He answered me and said, know you not what these? And I said, no, my Lord. And he said, these the 2 anointed ones that stand by the Lord of the whole earth. Now remember, right? He said that these 2 witnesses are the 2 candlesticks. You just seen these 2 candlesticks in Zechariah, correct? That stand before him. Now this is something that came to my mind, and shalom, Zadok. Zadok mentioned this. No, this wasn't Zadok. I take that back. It was somebody else. He mentioned something while we looking at them coming in the spirit of power of life. Somebody else mentioned something to me Sunday that sparked in my mind. So now we go on to Matthew 17. We're going to Matthew 17. Listen to what it say. After 6 days, Yahushua take Peter, James, and John, his brother, bring them up into a high mountain apart, and was transfigured before them, and his face did shine as the sun, and his raiment as light of life. And behold, there appeared unto him Moses and Elijah talking with him. Then answered Peter and said unto Yahushua, Lord, is it good for us to be here? If you will, let us make here 3 tabernacles. One for you, one for Moses, one for Elijah. Shalom, man. So I'm going to ask you good people. Anybody on Clubhouse can raise their hand. Anybody on YouTube can type it at their leisure. Why are Moses and Elijah here? Because maybe you've wondered why they were there. Maybe you didn't think nothing of it. But if anybody in the text who could be mentioned, why are Moses and Elijah here when Yahushua transfigures? Why are they there? And I would see why you would say that, but not in this instance. I did not tell you something. I didn't.
Is it a representation of the law and the prophets testifying to Messiah?
I could give you that also. He said, could it be that it's representative of the law and the prophets testifying of Mashiach? Say that also. I'm gonna give y'all transfigured, of course, by definition, and of course that is metamorpho, which is to change, to transform into another figure. So what you're seeing is Mashiach back in his former esteem. I thought y'all would catch it just based on what we was reading, but this is another instance because when we look at the 2 witnesses, whose power are they coming in? Now, the Arabians said they were the only 2 that saw or heard his image. Moses getting the law in the mount, and Elijah hearing the voice in the mount. And I could see that also. And what he stated, because we know that Yahuwah gave the law to Moses what? Face to face. But we're also going to be looking at how Moses bared witness of Yahuwah. And we know Elijah was taken up in a whirlwind. Now, again, we're not saying that these 2 men are Moses and Elijah, but we're seeing that what? These 2 men are standing in the presence of who? They're standing in the presence of Elohim. Revelation 11 states that these 2 witnesses are in his candlesticks, right? Now, we know, of course, Moses and Elijah are not finna drop out of heaven, you know what I'm talking about, and come down here and do it. But we're going to read that these 2 prophets are going to have the same power that Moses and Elijah had. And the 2 people standing before him, which would be what? Out of the mouth of how many witnesses? 2 or 3 witnesses are all things established. And I ask you this question here, right? When Yahushua asked his apostles, who do men say that I am? What was the first man who they said they thought he was? They said they thought he was Elijah. Then also, what else do you have? Mashiach got to be a prophet like unto whom? Moses. So again, why is it important to be a prophet like unto Moses? You got a prophet like unto Moses because Shalom, man, because he is the deliverer. But you got Elijah who went head on head prophesying against the idolatry of the people to deliver them as such. And then also, what did Elijah do to the false prophets? He killed them. What will the 2 witnesses have the ability to do? Torment and plague anybody who fools with them, anybody who comes their way. You know what I'm saying? Now, we did talk about this Saturday, and we talked about it in the past, but when Zadok mentioned it, it was fresh in my brain. Because we know, we read that Malachi 4 Saturday, right? It said Elijah got to come before the great dreadful day of Yahuwah, correct? So then when that came in, and when John the Baptist's parents got the witness that they will have a son, what did it say? You know what I'm saying? What did it say? He said he'll come in the ruach and power of Elijah. Ain't that what the Malachim told Zacharias? And then after Mashiach came and he said, and the law and the prophets was till John, and the kingdom of Elohim suffered violence and everybody oppressed into it. And he said, if you will believe it, John is that Elijah to come. So what you're going to end up seeing is 2 men are going to bear witness of the destruction of idols and a delivery from captivity and oppression. That's what you're going to see. Because ain't that's what Moses bear witness to the Pharaohs, the deliverance from captivity and oppression, that freedom and liberty to dwell in the Malkuth of Elohim. Let Yahuwah be esteemed. Did not Elijah go straight to these men's face and rebuke them for worshiping idols and say, if Yahuwah be Elohim, then serve him. If Baal be Elohim, then serve him. How long you going to halt between 2 opinions? How long you going to balance between 2 places? You going to serve Yahuwah, you going to serve the devil. Which one you going to do? That's what you're going to have to decide to do in the time of the beast. You're going to have to serve the devil. You're going to have to serve Yahuwah. Who you going to serve? And that's why this conversation about us being Israelites, being the word, and being the seed is distasteful and a disgrace and abomination before God. Because your dumb behind going to follow the devil, boy. And you're going to do it with a ready heart and a willing mind. Ain't that about a funky slut? You know what I'm talking about? Now let's come back over here to Revelation 11. Guess what, man? As Goody Mob once put it in a record, man, you can listen to me now. You'll believe me later on, though. You ain't got to believe nothing I say. You could be like, man, he talking out his blood hole. He don't know what he talking about. That ain't going to change the fact, boy, that Yahuwah done stated it in Shamahim before the foundation of the earth, how it's going to go down, and it's going to go down just like he said it did. You know what I'm talking about? When I say like he said it did, because it's already happened. We just waiting for it to play out. Not like he said it will, like he said it did, because it done already happened in Shamahim. You just waiting for it to play out in the earth. That's all you doing. This done already went down. I told you, boy, we live in a prequel. This done already went down. And 11:4. That's right. Boop said she wanted Elijah first. These are the two olive trees and the two candlesticks standing before the Elohim of their wrath. This is Revelation 11:4, by the way. And if any man will hurt them, fire proceed out of their mouth and devour their enemies. And if any man will hurt them, he must be, in this manner be killed. These have the power to shut Shamahim that it rain not in the days of their prophecy, and have power over the waters to turn into blood, to smite the earth with all plagues as often as they will. Pause and come over here to James, because he said they're going to have power to shut the earth up from raining. Let's look at what the Apostle James had to say about that as in relation to Elijah. We get ready to go around there to Kings when the Lord allows. And the verse is, there it is. I'll pick at verse 13 on general principle. James, the epistle of James 5:13. Is there any among you afflicted? Let him pray. How many men can we read in the script? Because we know when Yahushua was afflicted, he prayed. He prayed. How many men can you read in the text that when they were afflicted, they prayed? Hezekiah should have came to mind. Because when he was afflicted, he prayed. You know what I'm talking about? And I'm only telling that to you is when you find yourself being afflicted, when you find yourself in some trouble, when you find yourself in some suffering. We done talked about this here before, man. Man, they had, man, if there be anything, any anxiety, man, think on these things, man. Think of those things which are true. Think of those things that are honest. Man, just think on Yahuwah, man. Just think on Yahushua, man. And guess what? That'll help that affliction out, man. Go seek his face. See all this stuff we be talking about, man, we just be talking. All that calling your friends and family, man, bump all that junk. You need to go. If you in the word and you calling sinners when you afflicted, you a special type of stupid. Because you're supposed to be calling the saints so all y'all can pray together. What you calling sinners for? They can't get no relief in heaven for you. Why you want to get on the phone with some people who can't even touch Elohim, who he won't even acknowledge their voice, who don't even know their name, versus calling people who you can come together with and pray with? You know why you care about it? Because you worry about people being in your business instead of coming on one accord, calling on God that prayerfully he might hear the sound of your voice. I keep telling y'all we be worried about the wrong things, man. That's right. Jehoshaphat did too. Amen, brother. See, we don't do all that, man. Don't you know? How we going to sit here and say, man, when 2 or 3 are gathered in his name, he in the midst, and we don't even want to gather 2 or 3 in his name to pray on somebody's behalf? How that makes sense? But we say we believe the word, though. Verse 13, is any among you afflicted, let him pray. Is any merry, let him sing songs. When your heart joyous before Yahuwah, man, you sing what you sing songs to his name. Or you worrying about Beyonce them. You singing melody in your heart about some sinners. How you get happy and put on Marvin Gaye? What type of junk that is, man? And I'm just saying this here, I'm not trying to poke at nobody. I'm trying to change the way that we think. That's all. It's just your mindset. I'm trying to, every situation we deal in, Yahuwah should be the first thing come to mind, whether it be good or whether it be bad, whether it be happy or whether it be sad. Yahuwah should be the first thing come to your mind, because I want your mind to go to Yahuwah so you can get that to your offspring so their minds go to Yahuwah. That's all. Your mind ought to go to Yahuwah first in everything. Verse 14, is any sick among you? Let him call for the elders of the body and let them pray over him, anointing him with oil in the name of the Lord. And the prayer of faith shall save the sick, and the Lord shall raise him up. And if he's committed sins, they shall be forgiven him. Confess faults one to another and pray for one another that you may be healed. The effectual, fervent prayer of a righteous man avail much. Elijah was a man subject to like passions as we are. And he prayed earnestly that it might not rain. And it rained not on the earth by the space of 3 years and 6 months. And he prayed again, and Shamahin gave rain, and the earth brought forth her fruit. Now, it's been a long time since we talked about that. I remember what that passage is pointing to. You remember, boo? It's been a long time, so I understand if you don't. Any of you brothers understand what verses 17 and 18 are pointing to? Take your time and look at them for your answer. Take your time and look at them for your answer. I'm going to come back over here to Revelation 11. Because the first person we're going to look at out of these two men is Elijah. Because we just want to look at how the works that Elijah did in relation to the coming in the power and the spirit of Elijah. Stanley say the hour of temptation. Where I'm at, man. Verse 6. Joanne, you being the baby and not my baby. Verse 6, Revelation 11. These have power to shut Shamahim that it rain not in the days of their prophecy, have power over the waters to turn them to blood and to smite the earth with all plagues as often as they will. And when they have finished their testimony, the beast that ascended out of the bottomless pit shall make war against them and shall overcome them and kill them. Does anybody remember where it is written at in the prophets in regards to speaking about the beast overcoming and killing them? I see y'all jumping here. He buffering again? Probably is. Y'all remember that? Because we got 17 minutes. We got 17 minutes and we got to be out of the door. That's right. Bella remember. Let's come over here to Daniel 11. You can still hold James 5, by the way. Come on down here, man. You know what? I'm going to do 36 anyway. Just because of what it'll help us when we'll lay the foundation out, because we're going to be, y'all willing, going to the mystery of iniquity. So the foundation can already be laid. This is Daniel 11 and 36. And the king shall do according to his will, and shall exalt himself and magnify himself above every Elohim, and shall speak marvelous things against the Elohim of Elohims, and shall prosper till the indignation be accomplished. But that is determined shall be done. Oh no, that's another. Never mind. Neither shall he regard the Elohim of his fathers, nor the desire of women, nor regard any god, for he shall magnify himself above all. Now we've been able to determine when you see the term God of his fathers in the text, ladies and gentlemen, who is that referring to? Y'all got any idea who that would be referring to? When they say the God of his fathers, which fathers? That's right. So if this man who is exalting himself above Elohim has rejected the God of his fathers, then we would have to ascertain who would his father be? What bloodline would he come from? So we only got two people of what bloodline that this could be coming from. He either gonna come from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, or he gonna come from Abraham and Isaac. And if he gonna come from Abraham and Isaac, then we know that this means that this man has to come from one bloodline or two. He either gonna be of the house of Jacob or he gonna be of the house of Esau. Now, what can we read in Ezekiel 35 about the house of Esau as it pertains to Yahuwah in Revelation chapter 12? Chapter 13, excuse me. All right, Darius just said it. Esau won his birthright back. Don't it say everybody whose name ain't written in the Lamb's book of life gonna bow down to the beast? Ain't the blessing that Esau wanted, that Jacob got, is that your mother's brethren gonna bow down to you? Don't Ezekiel 35 say Edom gonna speak blasphemies against Elohim, and Yahuwah say, and I have heard them? Don't Daniel 7, Daniel 8, and Revelation 13 say this man gonna blaspheme the tabernacle of God? While we around here looking for a white man, boy, the beast gonna be an Edomite. Because it makes sense he'd be an Edomite now, wouldn't it? Not because we hate Edom, because Edom wanted the birthright. And he said, when you break the yoke of your brother off your neck. We examine in the law. He told you the beginning from the end and the end from the beginning. That's all. Just search the text. You ain't got to take our word for it. Search the text. Make sure it's so. That's what you ought to do. You should be more noble than those in Thessalonica, shouldn't you? Verse 38, but in his estate, he shall honor the God of forces, a God whom his fathers knew not. See, pause. Look at he said, God of whom his fathers didn't know. Well, Abraham and Isaac only knew that because he rejected his birthright. He sold it for a morsel of meat. He didn't know Yahuwah. See, I know some people go to think of it's a white man. Nah, man, Esau gonna look just like you. How a white man gonna fool a bunch of Israelites? Have y'all forgotten that the beast's objective is to deceive the elect? The world is already deceived. Have you forgotten that the book say that he's going to make a covenant with those who forsake the Kadash covenant? Right here in this Daniel, right there in chapter and verse 30 of the same book that we in. That's something that never sat right with me, man, even before I had an understanding of the word. I would have, if the book is about a people of color, how could they be deceived by a white man? He got the mirror and looked like what you waiting for. I see some people are probably thinking, that's why it's important we know we Israelite. Oh, that's why it's important you know the gospel of Yahushua and you won't be deceived. Because whether he was white, brown, yellow, or black, if you don't know the word, he gonna get you. I say it again, if you don't know the gospel of Yahushua, he gonna get you. Because you're gonna be deceived. Because it's gonna look like he's fulfilling the text, but you gonna go for it because you don't know your God. Remember what Yahushua told you, Kadash Abba, the world have not known you, but I have known you. Remember what he said about the Ruach of truth? He said the world can't receive it because they neither seen him nor known him. So you can't even get the breath of faithfulness because you don't know it. Yeah, Derek did say, can that be tied into your foes be of your own household? And at the end of the day, yes, it can, because Esau is of the household of Abraham. Absolutely. You definitely can do that. That's definitely not far-fetched if you wanted to walk in that direction. And of course, I'm just mentioning it for some of the brothers and sisters who have not heard us go over this before. Y'all willing, when we get in the mystery of iniquity, we'll delve it in more deeply for those who hadn't heard. Because a lot of the brothers and sisters here, we went over this before. You know what I'm saying? So I just want y'all to know this ain't something that, we just popping this up on this random Wednesday night. This is stuff that we've been looking at and examining for years by the grace of Elohim, by no goodness or righteousness of our own. Let Yahuwah be esteemed. You know what I'm talking about? Let's continue right here, man. Verse 39. Verse 38, excuse me. But in his estate he honored the God of forces, a God whom his fathers knew not, and he shall honor, and he shall knew not, he shall honor with gold and silver, with precious stones and pleasant things. Thus shall he do in the most strongholds with a strange God, whom he shall acknowledge, increase with esteem, and he shall cause them to rule over many, and shall divide the land for gain. See, that's what that verse 1 in that Revelation was talking about when you talk about divide the land. You know what I'm saying? Divide the land. Also, when you sit back, when he said that he shall cause them to rule over many, because the beast will have rule over the whole earth. Ain't that what Revelation 13 say? That he'll rule over every nation, kindred, and tongue? Verse 40, and at the time of the end shall the king of the south push at him, and the king of the north shall come against like a whirlwind with chariots and with horsemen, with many ships. He shall enter into the countries and shall overflow and pass over. He shall enter also into the esteemed land, and many shall be overthrown, but these shall escape out of his hand. Edom, Moab, the chief of the sons of Ammon. You know why that's important that Edom and Moab and Ammon get out the way? Because who tried to kill Yasharal in the wilderness? Edom. I know it was Amalek specifically, but Edom. Who tried to get Yasharal cursed? Moab. And Moab and Ammon. And what was the Ammonites around there doing? Because Moab and Ammon were the same. The sin of Baal Peor and number 25. Pay attention. These were the people who were troubling you in the wilderness. Verse 42, he shall stretch forth his hands also upon the countries, and the land of Mizraim shall not escape. He shall have power over the treasures in gold and over the silver, over all the precious things of Mizraim, and the Libyans and the Ethiopians at his steps. But tidings out of the east and out of the north shall trouble him. Therefore he shall go forth with great fury to destroy and utterly to make many. Because remember, that's where you sit back and you look at them troubles, those tidings, that good news that came from the two witnesses. How do we know this? Because Pharaoh wanted to murk Yasharal because of the tidings of Moses, did he not? And what her name is? And Jezebel, because Ahab wasn't on that. And Jezebel wanted to murk Elijah because of his tidings, did she not? Look at Yahuwah. Look at Yahuwah, praise God. It's all the same word, man. It's going to get you to the same place to show you the same thing. There is nothing new under the sun. And that the book is that everything he did the first time, he going to do again, so you can know this is the Elohim, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, so that you can know for surety that the word is true and that he will do his good pleasure and that the word that he sent forth will not come back to him void. See, we don't serve no weird God. Like, I hate when people say, we don't know what God going to do. You a lie. He tell you everything he going to do that you need to know. What type of father don't let his children know how he gonna move? What type of husband don't let his wife know how he gonna move? How's she gonna be able to fulfill his will if he don't tell her? How your son gonna be able to fulfill your will if you don't tell him? See, the reason why people think he don't tell us or it's a mystery, because what did we read? He said he's speaking parables. The mystery of Elohim is in parables, so that they can see not, and hearing, they don't hear. That means that his will ain't for everybody to know. You'll understand it. But what did we read? There's vessels under honor, and there's vessels under dishonor, and there's some vessels made for wrath, and there's some vessels made for mercy. But we don't like to talk about that because it makes us uncomfortable. Because we don't want to, we like I told somebody, you want to make Yahuwah be the man that you want him to be versus the man that he says that he is. The man that he says that he is sufficient for me. I don't see anything wrong with, I don't see the need to make him be anything other than who he is. What's wrong with him as he is? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I don't agree with this. Who cares what you agree with? You gonna be the clay, gonna look at the potter and tell the potter what he ought to do. That's utterly insane. You know what I'm saying? This man do what he want, how he want. Man, look at me. I'm gonna tell you like this here, man. If it was Yahuwah, and I bust hell wide open, I look him in the face and said, "Shoot, let your word be accomplished." Ain't that what Eli said when Samuel didn't want to tell him? He said, "Tell me, son, what he had to say." He said, "Tell him, boy, your son's gonna die." He said, "Let the word of Yahuwah be fulfilled." That's what Eli said. He ain't sit back and say, "Not my sons." Why? He ain't do none of that. He said, "Let God be esteemed. Let that word be accomplished." Shoot, they ought to die then. They ought to die then. They definitely been sleeping with women at the tabernacle door. They definitely been despising the sacrifice of Yahuwah. They definitely been blaspheming his name. I guess they ought to go. You got a mind like that? You gotta have a different level of faith and trust in Yahuwah to have a mind like that. Those were his sons. I mean, he good, Dre, man. He good, man. You know what I'm saying? He all right. Ain't no big deal, bro. And he shall, this is verse 45, and he shall plant the tabernacle of his palace between the seas and the esteemed mountain. And he shall come to his end, and none shall help him. See, it only makes sense that the man of sin, the son of perdition, the beast, whatever you want to call him, would be an Edomite. For no other reason, because he wants to fulfill the birthright that he didn't get. That's all. We ain't coming into no nationality, none of that. He just wants to fulfill the the agreement that he didn't get to partake in. I only got 4 minutes left. So this is what I'm going to do with this James 5 to get that to lead you in your mind that you who are willing. We'll start off with straight in looking at Elijah. His fourth is him being one of the witnesses, and that witness coming in the power and ruach of Elijah. And I will say this here, Yahuwah knows it could be Elijah. I don't know. You know what I'm talking about? But we know that he'll be coming in the power and spirit of Elijah at the bare minimum. But when it said that he prayed again, that he prayed that the earth give not rain, how long is it said that Hamashiach preached the gospel for? 3.5 years. And after the time period of his preaching his gospel, did it rain on the earth? He sent the Ruach HaKodesh. We'll look at Numbers 24, Psalm 72, and other places about that. I know it's been a long time since we had that conversation, so I wager you might not remember. You know what I'm talking about? And we're going to look at all those things. And it's ironic, don't you see that during the time period of their prophecy, that it won't be raining on the earth, just like during the time of Elijah, because of their worshiping of idols, there was no rain on earth. Just like then. Just like then. Remember, because it's not 7 years. It's not 3.5 years of tribulation and 3.5 years of it's not a 7-year tribulation. The beast only ruling for 42 months. Man, look here, man. Esau only get 42 months to get off, man. 1,260 days to get off. But what I want you to understand is that the two witnesses could coincide with his 42 months, or they could be before his 42 months. But just know this here. When you see them two men prophesying in Jerusalem, just know that it's at the door. That's what I mean by we'll know. When you see them two witnesses coming, you know either the beast is raining or he's finna come rain. That means it's at the door. Man, but hallelujah for Yahushua in the word, man. I appreciate y'all time to see them, man. I bless y'all the house of Elohim in the name of Yahushua. If those of y'all on Clubhouse want to keep going, man, just raise your hand, you know what I'm talking about? And we keep that sliding, because I'll cut the live stream going in a moment. But y'all willing, man, we're going to look at Elijah first on Shabbat night, 8:30. Don't they say time go back this weekend? So, hey, y'all, time go back this weekend, right? So that means not this Shabbat night coming, but the Shabbat night after that is 8 o'clock. Remember that now. Not Shabbat night coming. But next week, Yahuwah willing, we starting at 8, not 8:30, not 9 o'clock, 8 p.m., 8 p.m., 8 p.m. I appreciate you there, good sir. 8 p.m. So Yahuwah willing, man, on Shabbat night, man, we're going to look at Elijah first. Look at how that lines up with his witness and testimony. And then we'll come with Moses after that. If the conversation extends in the Shabbat day, then let Yahuwah be esteemed. And we'll start looking at the new heaven, have the new heaven and new earth conversation starting next week. So I just thank Yahuwah for the word, man. I appreciate y'all time this evening, man. You could have been doing a whole lot of other things, but you decided to receive the word of Yahuwah. I pray it strengthen your heart and light your path and guide you to the place you want to be, which is in his bosom, in his kingdom, in his temple, in his presence, rejoicing in his salvation. Again, I bless y'all the house of Elohim in the name of Yahushua, Yahuwah willing, to the next one. All right, Clubhouse, man. Go ahead, Hashem, man. You good to go, bro. Because that concludes on Wednesdays, man. We start at 7:30, and my max time is 9 o'clock.